joint meeting.
Yep. I'd like to call the Village of Trustees, Village of Weston Trustees, joint meeting to order. Go ahead.
I'll call the Village of Weston Planning Commission to order.
Okay, and if we all stand for pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. What's that?
Why don't we do that at planning commission?
We do it all the time.
We can.
Add it if you want.
Yeah, we can.
That's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
At the pleasure of the chair.
Then we do it twice a month. Let's see, number 3, roll call and declaration of a quorum by Secretary Parker.
All right, Board of Trustees, Maloney,
Here.
Ermeling. Here. Cronin,
Here.
Feeny,
Here.
and Hardinger had to step away. Wyland is excused or absent, Zagami, and he's excused.
Yeah, he's excused. I don't think Wyland is, and Hardinger,
He got a call.
oh, he did?
Yeah, he had to go get his kids.
I got a call. Okay, roll call for,
Planning Commission, Cronin,
here.
Zagami.
Oh, that's right.
Ermeling, I'm getting tired. Gurnt,
Here.
Jordan,
Here.
Bumper,
Here.
Hinslow,
Present.
Maloney,
Here.
and Deason.
Fluke. All right, new business, thank you. New business, Weston Avenue update, resolution 2022-025. Relocation order for Weston Avenue, Ryan Street to County Road J, transportation project plan. Yep. For some reason, it doesn't look right.
So on December 2nd, I think it was, Michael and I had a conference call with the design team on the Weston Avenue project, and I believe it was at the last November Board of Trustees meeting. There was a contract awarded to MSA for the right-of-way acquisition activity on the Weston Avenue project. So the purpose of our meeting on the 2nd was to get an update and try to schedule ongoing activity here and move forward on the right-of-way acquisition process. So the first part of that is to adopt the transportation project plat as the current form of a right-of-way plat.
From J to Ryan only, or just from piece?
Just from Ryan to Jay right now.
I thought the heartache was gonna be on the other side.
It will be.
So I guess before we take action on this, or suggest a motion be made on the relocation order, or the resolution, I should say, on that. My understanding is you'd like a update from staff here in terms of what the proposed design concept is on the street. I think that's been covered at several meetings, but it sounds to me like there's maybe still some question about that, or some
I'm speaking for myself.
understanding about what it
And I
is.
asked, I mean, we've been all over with water and sewer going up towards the highway and coming out by the meat packing place. I've heard questions that why are we doing this section first versus the other section? I've just heard all kinds of stuff, and I think at these meetings, and I guess you guys, I mean, staff is working in this every day, and I think you feel like you're more part of it. I don't feel part of it. I just don't feel like, what do we have spent so far? I mean, we've got AECom, we've got this other one, this MS1, MSA Professional Services. They're all this work is being done. How much is spent to date? We're paying for it through the TID, and where are we? Do we have millions spent? $500,000 spent? I have no idea. That's what I'm saying. So you guys are in the middle of this, and gals, staff. I feel like I'm not, and I want to know. So the question was on tonight is that we need to pass this resolution. And I felt like I can't pass this resolution unless I know what's going on. And, I know the thought was to do the east side first, which it just, to me, sitting here still today, it still feels like we should have done Camp Phillips to to Ryan, but you're saying that we have so much right of way to get. Well, we've got tons of right of way to get on the other side, plus we have tons of dewatering. And then at one of the last 2 meetings, I heard something about a boardwalk over the water. No, don't shake your head, because that's what I heard. So now if it's out, is it out? Is it in? I mean, Husheng Zagami said, oh, no, that's fine. We've done it all kinds of times. I don't want to be part of that. There's no way. Freezing, water, wood, who's gonna be on it? It'll kill me if I drive by that a lot and see nobody walking on that, just like the buses were. So that's where I am right now.
Yeah, so I guess I think it was at the September meeting when we talked about the stormwater and wetland issues. Essentially, the DNR, to a certain extent, wasn't going to let us permit to the multi-use path through that wetland area. So in order to make that work, the multi-use path was eliminated from Progress Way heading east to J. So the multi-use path would still get put in right now from Ryan Street to the western leg of Progress Way. And that's where the utilities would be. So it's essentially a utility access road. So if there's work that needs to be done on the water sewer system, it's not being done in Weston Avenue itself, it's being done on the north side via that access road.
So that would be the next road after Zinzer on the north side, correct?
Correct,
Going
yeah.
east, going
Yeah.
east, okay.
And then Michael does that now, then from what I'm going off of memory when I looked at the plan, then it jumps back up onto the road and there's access on the roadway.
Correct, yeah, the roadway itself is
It isn't sharing.
Well, Nate, did you have something? No, okay. So here we are now. So we're bringing up bike. And, this whole road process was about trucks. But now we're gonna make room for bikes. What cost will, what?
I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to say bikes. What I'm saying is the walking path that's there
Yep.
on Weston Avenue.
But if we're gonna have a walking path that's part of the street with a white line on this truck traffic road, I just don't,
so I mean,
sometimes we can't make everything for everything.
Yep.
Go ahead.
so I mean, the whole road, no matter what, is gonna have a 5-foot paved shoulder.
Mhm.
So we got a 12-foot travel lane, so it's 17 feet of asphalt, either side of the center line. It'll be striped as a 12-foot drive lane and then a 5-foot paved
Both
shoulder
sides or north side only?
on both sides.
And so now, wait a minute, now you said that that's the way it's going to be. That's only the way it's going to be if we decide that's the way it's.
Correct, I mean, that's the way,
So who decided to have that extra 5 feet on the south side?
that's the standard for an arterial roadway for, if there's an accident, somebody needs to pull over to the side of the road, they've got adequate pavement to get off on the side of the road, so they're not blocking the rest of the traffic moving through.
Okay.
So I
So
mean,
from from Point to as far as J goes, where is that 5 foot?
that,
Yeah, J. It's a county road. It's a bigger road than our Weston Avenue is.
Yeah.
Where is that 5 foot of paved on J?
I'm
Nowhere.
not
It's
sure.
nowhere. So I don't understand how the county can put a county road, J, heavily traffic road, and they don't have a 5 foot pull off, but we're gonna offer a 5 foot pull off.
Would it be a grandfather clause
I don't
in
know.
that standards?
I'm gonna ask some questions here because I don't understand.
All it was J reconstructed, probably before some of this design.
I sell fruit and vegetables. I have no idea what's going on here. And that's why I'm asking about the millions of dollars. Where are we right now on this project? Dollars. What's the new estimate?
as far as total cost,
Sure.
I think we've still been using the 20 million, start to finish.
All the way to Camp Phillips.
Correct.
And are we still within that?
Yeah, I mean, except for AECom's design services, we haven't paid anything yet. So I mean, I guess to your question, we're moving we're not putting in the multi-use path, our wetland disturbance is minimal. We're looking at we've got the utility corridor that we'll be designing off pavement from Progress Way out to J.
But if this 5 foot on each side, north and south side, is supposed to be used for emergencies, but then we're gonna also allow bike and walking.
Well, we can't deny somebody from using the road. People bike on Weston Avenue currently.
So I'm sorry, then I must have read or looked at it wrong. I thought as soon as it hit Progress Way, the proposal was to take 10 feet to take it to J. So we're not making a walking path to nowhere. That was my impression.
People, if they want to continue, For the most part, that, right now, that's a remote part of the village, right? Like, there's not people that live there.
Yeah.
But if people are gonna be biking through there,
They do.
they're likely long distance.
All the way to
biking.
J.
Yep. So, again, the purpose for the multi-use path is kind of like the path on Camp Phillips Road. You run your utilities under there, so if you're,
But no, you can't compare that path on Camp Phillips. That's a beauty. That's a beauty. That's not what we're gonna get here from Ryan to Jay. I mean, for most parts of it. I mean, that is completely off. It's away from the traffic. It's not an emergency pullover zone. That's completely different.
from Ryan Street to Progress Way,
It will.
it will be.
Yep.
It will be off pavement.
And the Camp Phillips.
Yes.
Correct, yeah, and then heading west.
And
of
it'll be
Camp
good for
Phillips.
utilities too.
Correct.
Yep, okay.
But then from Progress Way out, we also don't have utilities in the roadway. So there's really not that need for the,
I personally don't think we need it from Progress Way out to J, just my opinion.
So then can I ask the question from Progress Way, why do we have it from Progress Way to Ryan Street then?
I don't have a good answer for that.
I mean, that was so like, the Prohaska Park and the waterfall refuge. And we do have two parks there, so it'd be a way for people to maneuver back and forth between the two.
Because we have so many people going to watch a swamp?
Oh,
I'm just being honest, how many
Yeah, no.
people are in that industrial park looking at,
yeah, but you might have employees that want to go for a run or people that bike to work. We also have it in the code that we're supposed to have a pedestrian bicycle accommodations on arterial streets, which Weston Avenue is. I mean,
But didn't this all start with truck traffic? That trucks don't want to come out and go down the, Schofield and Camp Phillips? And, go ahead.
I honestly don't know where you're going with the truck traffic. We rebuild roads when they need to be rebuilt, and we build them to standards to withhold trucks.
Okay,
I mean-
so from Jay to Ryan, it's not that beat up. From Ryan to Camp Phillips, it's beat to hell. It's horrible. But yeah,
From Von Kennel to
but we're gonna do the east side first. Yeah, Von Kemp, doesn't matter. But what I heard was some anguish and some pain from some of the residents with trucks coming out of the business park up on Ryan and hanging a right on a very hard turn to make. And I heard it from several residents. One is I work with down on Ryan on the west side, and says in the morning at certain time zones when he leaves, there's quite a few trucks that are coming out of off of Ryan. They don't, God forbid, they actually go out the stoplights and go to J and then get on the highway from there. And I just know what the 30 trucks we have that leave our place in Merrill. And we've now been, in 15 years, we are now allowed one street to get out of that town. We can't, and we gotta go 15 miles out of our way to go west. But it's not a lot to ask to have that truck traffic go to a controlled intersection, hang a right to J, hang a right to the highway and make your choice left or right. But now they don't, because it feels like they're gonna gain 2 blocks by going to Ryan, hang a right that is damn hard to do, and then get on Camp Phillips to decide which way to go on 29.
but if I can recall, and I think I might have asked that in one of our earlier meetings, Mark, wasn't that because of the traffic at that intersection with the schools and the buses? Can somebody help me with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That traffic is horrible.
It is, but for a truck going east, hanging a right, staying on the south side of the road, there's no school traffic on that side. If you sit there 8 in the morning, there's nothing on that side of the road. Anybody exiting there, it's not an issue. And they all come into the industrial park off of J. They don't come off, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they jump off and jump on Weston.
There's really not a lot of pedestrian.
And do a
traffic.
double around. What?
Oh, there's not a lot of pedestrian traffic.
If our pain point at that school is the school traffic, then we need to take a third lane and start it at the bar at Clucks and have another turnoff there, because I've never seen so many cars, trying to hobby up. And then now we have another pain point on Camp Phillips right by Weston School. Because they weren't lining up at one time, now all of a sudden they're lined up to get in that circle. I thought that circle was off grounds.
I thought they were supposed to be.
But it must be so busy in that parking lot that they can't handle it.
It is.
And they act up like crazy.
On that point, they did ask when COVID hit to keep the half circle on Camp Phillips.
Oh, I see. But COVID is gone.
Right, so it's now back on the list to.
So keeping this thing moving here.
Well, they do.
Yeah, Jim?
Mark, is your concern more with adding pedestrian accommodation to the cost of the plan, or the fact that there's an extra 10 foot of width on between?
I just don't, I don't know sometimes who's driving the bus. I don't know who's got the stick. I don't know who's deciding what and what our residents should pay for. In a TIF, whatever.
So.
I mean, to be honest, we want to close this thing, when this is done, right?
Right.
We'd have nothing special after this. I know TID two is different, something different, with Schofield Avenue. But, I just wonder where the dollars, how big are the
Do we
dollars?
have to do the 5 foot on port starboard side of this road, or?
Well, if it's an emergency side, that's a whole nother animal.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if it's gonna also serve as bike
Is
and
built into it,
As-
we
as
can have a
part-
compromise for pedestrian accommodation.
As part of my understanding, Director Wodolski, is that as our code states, we're supposed to have that 5 foot on RTO streets
Well,
regardless.
actually, the 5 feet doesn't even match our code. We technically need to grant ourselves almost a special exception from Progress Way to J, because it's not a dedicated off pavement pedestrian way.
Okay,
Like Birch Street, we have a dedicated path that's off pavement. And the width of Birch Street, I think we only have 11-foot lanes there. But
It just wasn't practical to put it in.
Correct.
With the water situation.
yeah, so I mean, there are reasons for why you don't do it.
okay.
But realistically, the pavement width that won't change throughout the whole X to J. It'll be the same width of asphalt, shoulder to shoulder.
I want everybody to know what's happening here as we approve this.
So Michael, from Progress Way
And
to
then.
J,
Yep.
It'll just be a 2-lane road with a slightly wider
they
shoulder.
are filling,
What?
they are filling.
There's a little fill. Yep.
Okay, so they're widening.
From what to what?
I think our current pavement width is 24 feet. I think we've got like a 4-foot kind of gravel shoulder. So is that 32?
Ain't much.
And then.
Because I do agree with you, if you have to pull over in that whole stretch, you're going in the swamp.
You won't pull over.
No, you
That water is, you have no clue how deep that is,
No,
right?
you just won't. So I agree with, if there's some sort of room, I agree with you.
So what is it then? How wide now?
What'd I say?
Oh, 24, you said.
Like 32.
Well, 32 is what it was now with a little bit of stones on
Yeah,
the
so
side.
it'll be 17, 34, so it'll be like 40. So it'll be an extra 4 feet on each side.
But the drive lanes will still be 12.
The drive lanes, it will still be striped
Still be
as
12.
12. Yep.
So 4, 32, 40, 4 more feet onto that. So 8 foot of gravel on each side.
So maybe I just took maybe I was just thinking that I didn't really stick to plan. I just looked at it thinking the road was an extra 10 feet. I thought we were just taking that and just jumping from Progress and then they would have 10 feet on one side to get to J. I wasn't,
No.
but no matter what, one way, if you're broke down or something happens on your way out, well, you don't have enough to pull off to the side.
Correct.
Yeah, well, and I guess the other thing is, I travel Weston Ave, well, you probably do more than I do, but quite a bit. And in the summer, I've encountered, I don't know, is it a bike group or whatever, that there's a whole string of bikes going down Weston Avenue. I think we'd be kind of amiss to be doing this road project and not accommodating, not necessarily to have a big, completely dedicated type thing, but that you give people room, even walkers. My husband and I used to walk that way even. And traffic is not a friend on that road.
How wide is the current shoulder?
It's like 4 feet of gravel.
Yes, and then you.
Gravel. Now we're gonna go from 4 feet of gravel to 5 feet of pavement.
Like Roy says, you don't feel like there is one.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it feels.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
And then you look down in that ditch.
It's a little.
I know, but we gotta, I totally agree with you, we're using things that were just for roadways to, yesterday and years ago, and now we're using it for everything. So that 8 foot on Ross Avenue, you got 4 people abreast taking it, and because now I get to talk and share my gum and stuff and whatever, but it's just amazes me because as a motorist, I'm driving down there, trying to get home and I'm sitting there looking at these, 4 10-year-olds and I'm just going, all I need is just one of them. I rode a motorcycle for a lot of years and I never rode with a motorcycle next to me on a highway, never. We were always staggered because you don't know what's gonna come around the next corner. But, so there's just more and more stuff out there for the motorist and, fine, let's build a way.
And if you've got that and you've got your, water and sewer in that area, under that, it isn't like you're putting it on there for, just for that. I mean, you're also,
Okay.
to
So,
me, that's my thought.
so some of the question and answers that we're getting some of them done here. Jim, did you had a question we answered, right? Or you had your hand up?
As far, well, does the road have to be built that way?
So-
Is this the minimum spec?
Yeah.
Or
So
we're
this is kind of
choosing
the
to have
standard,
this?
right?
Yeah, standard.
Okay.
Okay, so, but there is a different standard, and I know government builds roads, private doesn't, but anyway. So going back to the original talk that Keith and I had on this resolution, so I thought, well, we better have a question and answer here, so we all kind of know 6 months from now, 8 months ago, that, oh, no, we said yes to this. So this resolution is gonna bind us or bound us to what? This is for this MSA
It's for
contract?
purchasing right away.
This will,
Purchasing right away, okay. And we're purchasing, private, we're, from the DNR's gonna have to say yes to this? On
No, so
the-
the DNR is already approved.
Okay,
We actually have the wetland permit.
okay, but not for a boardwalk.
Correct, there's no boardwalk.
But we actually considered a boardwalk originally.
Husheng brought it up, I don't know if it was actually, it was never put in the plans, it was never asked to be designed, it was.
Okay.
It was an
But
option,
I think, I don't remember who Shane bringing it up. I think I saw it in the plans.
yes.
Some form of boardwalk, so it just mystified me how it got there. So,
It was one thing the DNR recommended we possibly look at if we really wanted to put it.
okay.
Was it among some of the potential concepts in the corridor planning study?
That might have been there too. In the Weston Ave corridor plan.
I mean, to deal with the DNR and water and freezing and all the different depths and stuff, I mean,
I
you,
wouldn't-
you might wanna just put a walkway or, a bike path above the road, 20 feet up in the air.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell? What the hell?
Leave it 20 feet to the north.
I mean, I'm just thinking it might be cheaper in the long run, so.
What about the Weston L?
I'm being sarcastic, right? I'm being sarcastic. So what is the point of getting this resolution done?
So, yes,
Okay,
adopting this plat, would then, through the resolution, would then have this filed. Does it get filed the register of
The
deeds or
county,
the county clerk? In the past, it was always the county clerk, I thought, but so this gets filed the register of deeds. Then the right-of-way agent will begin staking of the right-of-way interest so that people would see what may be proposed. We want to schedule a project or a public information meeting. January 4th was the proposal.
would this not be in our right of way now?
There are interests, even temporary interests for sloping and so forth, for grading that need to be worked out with people, so we're not,
What are we, 60 feet, 66 feet? What are we?
66 feet
All the way?
in general. There's some spots where we're 80,
Okay.
just because it's village owned.
And we would need to buy more?
so there are some permanent and, there's some
Okay.
fee acquisition and some temporary interests as they're.
Both sides or north or south side only?
Both sides.
Yeah, the
Somewhat.
majority of the permanent purchase is for the stormwater conveyance, the treatment, so we can meet the DNR requirements. And we utilize as much village land as possible so that we're not, we can pay ourselves, I guess, but
So stormwater has to follow the roadway, but could the utilities go north and then follow where most of the new buildings would be and then come back by Jacqueline's or no?
yeah, so from, again, from Progress Way, our utility, we approved that design to go forward. I think it was in September as well. So we're looking at that design from the east end of Progress Way to then kind of cut north towards like Sunbelt Rentals, Roland Machinery. So it is closer and it's out of the wetlands, it's in the uplands, so.
You have to secure that right away, or that's just an easement to?
We would get an easement, so that's part of that design is figuring out.
So no purchase or yes purchase?
We wouldn't normally purchase that
We
for
would.
utilities, no.
Okay. So because once we start, it's, might snowball to the last.
But there will
person.
be some type of a similar process we would probably initiate for that to get those easements negotiated, I guess, unless people are.
Are you talking on the private land,
Correct.
Yes.
Michael?
Yep.
Because you need to have access to that.
We would, yeah. Yeah, so we'd have to go through the, like he said, the similar process for making sure we got easement rights.
Would we,
That hasn't yet been defined. That'll
would we
be- that'll be
possibly
later.
have to get the eminent domain or no? Would that possibly be a solution at the end, if we couldn't get it?
It's
It
possible.
could be.
So it could be used in this sense, okay. That's usually an ugly matter. All right, any other questions?
Well, I actually took the time to look at every section of this. And I think that Michael's done a pretty good job of following the path that we have been talking about all of this time. And I agree that you can mark that as a bike path, but the reality is that it's necessary to get through that area with a big truck if you had some issue.
Right.
So I guess the only thing, we're gonna do the east end first, just because it's expeditious to get that done sooner than they.
Yeah, I mean, we could have said we want to do the west end first. I don't think we'd get the there's no way we were gonna get anything started next year on the west end, in my opinion, just
So
with.
many hiccups. in the
Yeah,
But we will be starting on this next year.
yep, I mean, so the right-of-way agreement or services agreement we have with MSA is for the entire length, X to J.
Okay.
So this plat here is just from Ryan to J, but MSA will be beginning to work on.
And a lot of that had to do with the property easements. And you guys have a ton of property
Correct.
in this space, which helps the amount of purchases that would need to be done.
Yeah.
And also,
6 or 7.
and also there's the wetland that you're not having to really affect a whole lot.
Not anymore,
Some,
yeah.
yeah, there's some, but that was the easiest one to get through permitting quicker, faster.
Okay.
Get something moving. Otherwise, we would be sitting with the west end in 2024 and
Maybe.
right? And then 2025 would have been the other side. And is that outside of our, I thought we were on a time frame.
March of 26.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Because of the TIF money, yeah. Okay. We're still inside.
The whole idea was to close to one as quickly as we can. If we do the west side first, we'd be probably delaying that closure time.
Okay.
So
Yep.
That would be the other reason to move the east.
I was just gonna ask that, wasn't there something about the speed of getting it started and
Right.
actually under construction?
And I get why people are saying it. I travel it every day. It's miserable. I mean, you guys know it's miserable getting, and the people that are living there, they don't understand it either. But when you really look at the reasoning for it, it's very justifiable why it's being done. I had to argue with my family about it as well.
Joe, I appreciate your comments. I really do. I put a lot on what you say and the compliments to staff are appreciated. Not so much you, Gary, but.
I know,
Definitely, I
the
definitely.
rest of us committee really just feel appreciated too.
And to your point, Mark, the important thing is that we do understand what we're approving, because there are gonna be people that are gonna say, well, what the hell are you doing fixing that?
Mhm.
When the other portion is
It's
way
just,
worse.
it's,
Well, yeah,
as this is finished more, and it's kind of like old news, that's gonna become the new thing.
Yeah.
So, cause I'm getting a little bit more, not a lot, but a little bit more, and to be honest, I need these meetings so I can actually explain it. I need to listen more.
I couldn't understand at first either, because I
Yeah.
travel that section that closer to the hospital is just like, man, that's bad. And this over here, I'm going, well, this isn't that bad. Why are we fixing this before we fix that? But then when we're.
I think you're gonna have some struggles, especially with the people that knew that the road was getting widened and they bought their house, and I think that's gonna be a real.
This is gonna be a great road though, when it's all said and
Well,
done.
not for them.
Yeah.
They reach out and touch the, but they knew that.
I think one of the.
That's what I
people
struggle
you
with.
were referring to did contact us and they were informed that we were, doing the
I
project.
get that, but then they sat in that meeting at
Right.
Weston Lanes and got all furious about it, they want you guys to buy their house. It's like, people, you got this warning before you bought it. We don't quite understand
Well, I
why.
went to, that it's so close now, regardless, I wouldn't have bought it, but anyway. So 26, and there's nothing more on Marshfield, with the lawsuit, correct?
What's that?
The lawsuit with Marshfield Clinic? you know, because I think the sooner we do, if 26 is our year, we need to do that. Marshfield announced today that they're being bought out by Essentia.
Mhm.
Yep, so, and the CEO gave her 1 year notice today for Marshfield Clinic, so.
So in that regard, I know that our attorney had been talking with their attorney and asking for their justification for requesting any reduction in their taxable
Well,
property there, and that's still in process, as I understand.
Ask Matt, they're looking for an agreement within 2 months, and if that happens, then is the lawsuit dead because Marshfield filed it? And would Essentia have to do it? Or were they trying to get this thing done so they could put more worth,
That's probably the case.
put more worth to be bought out? Okay, enough of that.
So
So any more questions on this
just one
resolution?
thing,
We could get this passed.
so by
So you got it.
adopting this, then there's gonna be contacts by letter from the village and by the consultant about the start of the right-of-way process, right-of-way acquisition
That
process.
consultant is MSA?
Staking, yes,
Okay.
staking of the areas that are, that are affected by this, and then the notification of the public information meeting on the 4th of January.
And MSA stands for?
I don't know,
It
MSA,
used to be Mid-State Associates. I think they just go by MSA now.
right?
In local, Madison?
Yeah, they have offices in Rhinelander and Marshfield are the two.
So those will be the
They
contacts.
do a ton of work with us, don't they?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're all over.
And I know AECom does too, and I know.
Yeah.
I just, for questions, for answers to the
And
questions.
they're only staking and doing this eastern portion right
Correct.
now, right?
And they'll be contacting
Yep,
some residents,
they'll be sending letters out to all the residents first, so they're aware.
who they are and stuff.
With that being said, on utilities, I know you and I talked years ago about maybe that extension out to Jay or how that would be. Would that come off of Progress Way on the east side? Have you worked with them on that, or have they looked at that?
Yeah, so I mean, they're looking at, yeah, so they'd go east, on the east side of Progress Way, up, kind of following the A&R gas line as much as kind of
Yeah,
possible.
I can't see why anybody would argue to think that, especially Christensen's.
Yeah.
It's just gonna value their property at a higher value, why they would want, or to argue not wanting that to go through there.
Yeah.
But probably the ones that I would say that might be difficult would be potentially, the meat, jack links.
Yeah, well, so we'd probably come back down towards like, I think it's Roland, they're right next to, yeah.
Well, you follow that gas easement, it goes, if you follow it, it would snug right up to that wetland, right?
Yep.
And that would go past Rolling way out in their driveway.
Yep, so then we'd probably come down Roland's driveway and then get back on Weston Avenue.
Because you're on a wetland.
Yep.
Okay,
And then there's that one last house on the south side there.
yeah, because they could use it.
And then
Okay.
that way it completes the full loop too.
And I would just echo Joe's comments from earlier. A lot of this had to be corrected because of or changed because of the wetlands. I mean, that's been the issue all the way through this project, right? I mean, every time we talked about it, we can't, but the wetlands, we can't. I mean, you're limited on what you can do through that stretch of road without really spending a lot of money.
Exactly.
And I think you've done a nice job of mitigating the cost, to your point earlier, but, I think they mitigated a lot of the cost by taking and not having the full path go down, right, the full bicycle path. Because it just got too expensive.
Well, I mean, we went through a huge gamut of, I mean, we had people in here, professionals in here with a center island, trees and the whole bit in there, all kinds of beautiful stuff, and this is where we are, so, and I think this is good stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
it's nice to
Yep.
have the looks of the trees but that is just an expense that it doesn't improve getting down that road and getting it manageable. I
Yep.
mean, just,
So the question is, should the Board of Trustees approve Resolution 2022-025 to acquire additional road right-of-way for the Weston Avenue project from Ryan Street to County Road J? And staff recommends approving.
I move to approve resolution 2022-025 to initiate the real estate acquisition process for the Weston Avenue, Ryan Street to County Road J roadway project.
Motion by Ermeling, second by Feeny on the question.
Wait a minute, we have to make a motion under planning first, don't
We
we?
don't.
No,
have-
it's a board
It
item.
was just.
Okay, all right, just want to
This
make
is
sure.
board, you have actually no power here.
I'm
Oh, you
sorry.
do, you're a trustee. Yeah, Gary does it. The rest of you guys have some say.
They
but-
could have made a motion to recommend
Okay.
it to the
Just make
board.
sure it was an update.
I'm sorry.
You could have made a motion to recommend.
5 minutes, we will not get back. So, okay, are we good?
I'm good.
So any more on the discussion? Hearing none from Cronin? All those,
I'll just add one quick thing, just so you guys know. So this page on
there's
this.
been a call to the question. Why don't you hold off to this?
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Michael, go ahead.
I guess I just want to mention, so this is the, I guess, former Mashuda property, so the golf, so and make sure there is zero impact to the golf course since there's, their whole 9 is essentially on Weston Avenue.
Right.
There is, there'll be kind of a pond, a short ditch. I mean, this part of the Weston, or the north side there kind of floods already. But then also, any future development that would still occur between kind of Gary's property and Weston Avenue, this would likely be a spot where they could then take their stormwater to as well. So it'll be a mixed use for the roadway as well as future development on that lot.
You're talking about Mashuda, that pond was on Mashuda too, right?
That was.
It's on?
Yep.
I mean, I'm not kidding you. I mean, how many years did we sit with that pond? We talked about kicking kids off it or to not fish. And now, how much more beautiful could it be?
Yep.
In front of a dock, Tommy Docks. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
When you really think about it, it was like meant to be.
Yeah, so I mean,
That's outstanding.
this should be dry most of the year, but when we get the heavy, rains or, the spring snow melt, it'll be extra storage to help alleviate some of that flooding that happens downstream on the.
Michael, that is completely all across the whole frontage, so if those properties got sold, you would access off of.
Of Progress Way.
Progress and or,
Since they're correct,
Okay.
yep.
All right. How much does that limit that property?
There's still,
I mean, that's a great idea as far as stormwater, because we've talked about trying to get stormwater all the way out to that front pond.
Yep.
So I think it's a great idea with that and the roadway. I just didn't know how much it limits that.
there's still like 200+ feet between there
Okay,
and then on the east side, there's even more between Tommy Docks and,
yeah, because they didn't take near as much, so.
yeah.
So that, I mean, if you put a factory there or something, it would somewhat limit if it was but yeah, that's the problem.
It depends how big they want to be.
So number 6, staff reports. Report regarding November 2022 staff approved certified survey maps and site plans. And if we take it in conjunction, number 7, report regarding November 2022 building permits. What's your pleasure?
Motion to acknowledge items number 6 and 7.
By Cronin?
Second.
Can it be, is it joint?
Oh, wait, sorry,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's, no, I put it on for.
It's
both,
joint, that's what I
So
thought.
that way I don't have to take it to the board.
Second by Mumper. Any more on the question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Miscellaneous, project updates, TID 1 activity.
Point of order. That was for the plan commission. The board can also choose to do it at this time, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So I wasn't on plan. I'm an alternate. Oh, I could be on now because Dave left.
Dave Lux.
So everybody was present for that meeting, I guess. Is there?
Well, why am I asking about the road? I mean, $1 million of road, I don't know how to run the meeting, so that's exactly what my point is here, all right?
And the question, what?
Don't stare at me all the time.
Do we have plan commission?
Look at her, look at him. What? No, you're not, you're looking right at me. That's the monitor up here, my eyes are right here.
We just took care of planning. I'll motion for the board. Motion.
Second,
I don't even know what we did.
we have a motion by Cronin, a second by Amy. All those in favor say aye for the board.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried.
All right.
Oh.
Now, somebody tell me what number we're on. Jen,
We
tell me
are
where
on
we are.
miscellaneous 8.
Where are we?
We're in 8.
Okay, we are being filmed, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, this is
Oh, that's
awesome. This is 1 million hits already on YouTube. Who in the hell is that guy in the Senate? All right, miscellaneous project updates. TID number 1 activity. A, hearing none. B, TID number 2 activity. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Well, since everyone was
You
here
had
for
double the amount of items I had in 45 minutes.
See this?
It took me 2 hours.
See this?
Sorry, just saying.
He
Okay,
didn't have an
go ahead.
ordinance.
Were any questions in addition to what was discussed at the previous meeting with the plan commission?
Mm-hmm.
Are there?
Yes, sir. Well, Gary had a couple on kitty corner from Aldi's. By the way, Aldi's looks beautiful. And the numbers I'm hearing are outstanding. So I kind of keep an eye on that. So it's kind of cool. And Rib Mountain is still quite busy, but Weston one is beautiful. It's a new format. It's one of 3 that has self-checkouts in the state. So there you go. So TID 1, so that was a question. We're getting a lot of questions. I am anyway on, let's see, the northeast corner of Camp Phillips and Schofield Avenue.
Just a second.
That'd be Christensen's.
Okay.
Okay,
thank you.
Harley. Also to the east of Stillwater, all right? There's some stirring there, and there's some stirring east of Chain Garden. So that's, I'm hearing it
We had that meeting.
from some different people, so
That was TID 1.
I don't think we can talk about it. And I mean, and then, so let's not even talk about that stuff. And then, oh, by the way, we have a $35.9 million project going on at DC Everest. And they're what, about $600,000 away from being fully funded? $35.9 million. That's unbelievable. You don't think that's gonna be a catalyst?
Jimmy John's on Thursday and they're donating money.
Really? How many sandwiches do you have to buy?
I don't know for the food, but.
I'd probably, instead of eating 5 sandwiches, I should just give them to them. Yeah. So, right?
Starting to do that.
So I'm serious. And just so you know, you want to have a feel good here, our hoteliers and our tourism committee, the ask was for 200,000 and it was approved, I believe, in a 3-year period, about 67,000 for the next 3 years. Then there was another ask at the last tourism meeting for 100,000, but our tourism approved 200,000. So $100,000 immediately. I was watching Jessica the whole time, no heartburn at all. So we had the money. And then another 50,000 the next year, another 50,000 after that. And I believe tourism, my hearing is that they may approve a $50,000 yearly contribution to the maintenance of the building too. So the hoteliers couldn't be happier because it's gonna put the hotels in the Weston area in first place, which they are not in first place anywhere with any activity at all. And they couldn't be happier with where their generated tax dollars are going, so. Just so you
That's
know.
always was the issue, you know, that you wanted to make sure that the hotel establishment was getting.
Get some rooms, yeah.
Get some
You know,
rooms.
this might spur, I mean, depending on how this goes, this might spur some more hotels, some more eateries, all kinds of stuff, so. This in itself, and I think the build starts next year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's hard numbers from Bolt already on this. I mean, this is gonna be there's talk.
Supposed to be open, my son's a sophomore,
Mhm.
it's his senior year.
Really, that's awesome.
They wanted us to start in wintertime.
You know, when you think about this, you got, Myron here, you got Bolt over there, you got Zindorf downtown and with the administration building. There's some serious stuff going on around here. So anyway. All right, so TID 1, sorry to suck up that time. So that's TID 1.
I don't know that we have anything more to update on that.
There's some things you
Already
can't
discussed
say
tonight.
probably, yeah.
You don't have anything you want to?
Non-TID activity, you will probably be seeing planned development for the old Pizza Hut site in February. That's what they're trying.
Excellent, really? Who,
We'll see.
by festival or by somebody else?
By someone else.
They sold that land? They sold it? They're leasing it?
They're-
No, Raleigh didn't,
It's not Raleigh.
Festival bought it.
It's an out of town.
Festival bought everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Festival has.
Triggs owned it.
Multifamily.
He had it
No,
first.
it's a tidal wash.
Yeah.
It's like a car wash.
Oh, Raleigh's gonna have some heartburn over that. Wow, interesting.
Sort of the highway too.
Yeah, Raleigh had it initially thinking that Starbucks would go there, but then they went on that little kitty corner. Half the time they're open. And then Festival bought it from Triggs along with the building and everything, so then they must have sold it off. But I didn't know what they were gonna do there.
Yeah, they've been on for I think right now.
I have a funny feeling that Festival might not stay there. So, I think they'll sniff around for something.
They actually just put a little addition on the back, so.
Yeah, it's just a cooler. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
a
a cooler.
they have those just sitting around all over the place.
Has anybody reached out to, made a couple of comments maybe, to Chick-fil-A at all?
That's Raleigh.
Raleigh.
Raleigh says that's not done yet.
Raleigh, I think Crystal's gonna follow up with them.
The hardest part is the traffic when you first come in and you get off.
Yeah, and that's what Rib Mountain is aware of that when we saw the site plan.
Rib Mountain already struggled with even putting Taco Bell there.
Yeah.
They didn't want it there
I spoke
because of the traffic.
couple individuals who have some business interests in that area that have some major heartburn over that lot, just because of accessibility
They've got like
issue, there's too
4
much
different.
traffic.
It is,
Closing off.
when you go by it, I always think Olson, floor trial was so small, it's actually bigger than you think.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It is quite a big parcel, and, the Taco Bell, I mean, yeah, they had a little heartburn there, and, the Culvers, they get everything approved from DNR, and then Rib Mountain still had some things on top of it. But Rib Mountain's our neighbors, plus they're a partner in our fire and safety, so we want us to talk nothing but good. So, but I had a couple emails back and forth with Raleigh, and I don't know if that's done yet. So, it might be done.
That was just a preliminary to talk about the road.
Yeah, so there's some people at Rib Mountain that believe this is just to kind of get the fire started for both communities to argue a little bit.
Would,
So we'll see.
would we have a place that that would be good for them? I mean, I'm trying to think of traffic and,
Anywhere out there next to,
Tons of room out here.
out there right next to Chain Garden. I mean, okay, so I have to drive an hour and a half to get Chick-fil-A. Now I have to drive 8 minutes. I'm actually okay.
Yeah.
As long as it's in the
fine
area,
if it's
I'm
in the
fine.
metro area,
Yeah.
but that is a
That's fine.
really hard location.
Yeah.
So they would
Yeah.
be closing off most likely
Oh, it's really good.
is it that
It says
Texas
it's
Roadhouse?
really fast food.
oh,
They would have to close that. They would
Well,
only have a right-in right now.
As long as the RVs can get into
Or
King's
chicken.
Campers, we're fine. King's Campers sold too.
And Rib Mountain, and Texas Roadhouse then too.
Yeah.
They got
They would
bought
be
out by an
closing that
Eau Claire Marquette
then
RV
how would you get in?
dealership.
There's access through frontage in the back, different things, so they'd have to, they did a corridor study along there, so they have their traffic and what.
And apparently they have somebody that's gonna go into Gordon's too. That's what Rib Mountain is saying.
Oh, yeah.
Do we know who?
Yeah.
Can you say it?
Yeah,
Say it.
I forget it.
I think that'd be a great story. You know what? The more I have to take pills for my memory, that'll be a great store for me to shop at. I forget it. I forget it.
I can't think, it's like a Gander Mountain.
You know what? Quit teasing us.
No, I'm
Just-
serious.
Oh,
It's-
serious?
It is. It's an outdoorsy type thing. I can't think of the name of it.
Like a Bass Pro Shops?
No,
No, that's the wrong footprint. But something on that order?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Keep remembering, tell me.
It's not Tractor
It just needs.
I just liked your first answer.
I love that. I love it.
I did forget. I can't remember the name. I just
All
can't
right,
think of the name.
drive it home. That's about all we can say on TID one. Yeah.
If I could use,
Or in TID
Mark,
two.
if I could use my phone, I would look it up, but I can't use my phone.
Wow, I never said that. Steve said you can. I didn't say that.
I didn't think it was.
Oh, okay. All right, TID, are we on TID two or?
I think we have
No,
covered the gamut of things unless you have other questions.
no, go
I
ahead.
already talked about non-TID stuff as well.
Okay. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
I think we have it covered.
Okay. So
I
there we are.
have a quick question on TID two, and I was gonna say this in comments, but I was driving through there last night. I noticed, were there not some lampposts that were in front of Aldi's that were removed? There was like 3 of them in a row, and there's 3 on the other side of the street, but only one of them works.
They're still there. Those silver ones are still there.
Are they?
The lights don't
Yeah.
work.
So that was gonna be my next point, is why don't the lights work? Why have we not done anything?
They
with that?
need new drivers, is that it, Roman?
We have to retrofit them with LEDs.
Are there,
That's the plan.
because I drove that whole corridor, I would stand to say 75% of them are
Yeah.
non-functioning
Yes,
right now.
they are, the standards are there and the lights do not work in most of them.
How do we,
We had red and green ones ordered and they didn't come in time.
Oh, that's a good, I like that too. Okay.
Mark, can we sort of send a non-conforming letter or something
To who?
to the village?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Sure. Have at it. Have at it. Have at her.
We have a special file for that.
Yeah.
32 days left.
Have all.
He's got 32 days?
Yeah,
Okay.
so parts came in and just now getting.
Okay,
installed.
just a question.
Time.
I just was driving through and I'm like, this
I
this
saw
doesn't
them
look
there.
as brightly
I
lit as
saw
it
them
used
there.
to, and I'm like, looking at it, I'm like, man, it's a lot of burnt out light
No,
bulbs. So-
that's on Scott's to-do list before he's on leave.
So we're done with 8. We're going to 9, announcements and commissioner remarks. Corner, did you give up your time?
Sure.
Okay.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yep, Ermeling,
No, fine, Merry Christmas.
nothing. Nate?
Yeah, 2 things. First one is I will be attending the special board meeting tomorrow by phone.
Okay.
Second thing is just confirming the rumors that I am not seeking reelection in April. It's, as Churchill said, it's not the beginning of the end, it's the end of the beginning.
Who's Churchill? I'm kidding, just kidding.
Well, with you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good luck to you. And it was a pleasure. And if you wanna, like I said, if you wanna serve on some committees or commissions, if I get elected, give me a buzz. So, okay, Roy, nothing for Roy? Thank you for your comments tonight. Go ahead.
Oh.
Joel, I'm sorry. Okay. Gary, you can't yield your time. You can't grab his time, Gary. Go ahead. Happy New Year. Okay.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
All right, Jim?
Have none.
No? Okay. Staff, Roman, anything? Anything over here?
Christmas, Happy New Year.
No? Okay.
Would you like an half-hour discussion about something still, or?
I feel very more, I will not be able to go to bed when I get home today. I'll tell you that right now.
You got enough time to drive.
I gotta turn the TV way the hell down so I can't hear it.
I got another hour to kill.
Yep. So,
I gotta get my kids out to the curb tonight.
yeah, okay. No, thank you, everybody. I thought it was a pretty well-spirited,
I
I
thought the
think,
new building has gotten us to be here.
no, I'm not hearing that much on the building. I mean, other than we opened today and we had, spring tours today. I was getting a few comments on that.
We had one or two
No,
of
I
them.
meant the
Yeah.
board was
Oh,
getting
moved around.
Are you guys, is Public Works moving in?
this meeting.
Strange. That's a work in progress.
I drove by this morning and I saw a lot of, looked like pallet racking, or how you guys are moving something around with some equipment back there.
Yeah, so we're getting stuff in. They're still finishing up some overhead doors and whatnot, so as soon as they're out of the way, we'll keep moving.
Okay. Yes. Next board meeting is the third Monday, which is next Monday, the 19th at 6 p.m. Next regular planning commission meeting is Monday, January 9th, 2023 at 6 p.m. And happy holidays, everybody. Gary?
What's happening with the old village, or the property? Is anybody got anything?
I think we're gonna be looking at to see if there's any
Interest buyers.
Kristen was gonna follow up with all the people that received the
asbestos. That's what I
RFP
meant.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can follow up on the asbestos. I don't know if it makes sense for us to take a look at that yet until we know if anybody is interested in a redevelopment project, but I guess the thought is we would entertain bids on demolishing the site and preparing it for the redevelopment.
Well, if it's just abatement done, you put it out for bids that way, let somebody, maybe they can have the opportunity to demo it at a cheaper cost.
At a guaranteed demo?
Well, I've got a couple of people that have called asking about the site. I didn't go through that or talk to Kristen about that.
Well, yeah, I guess we can.
If you got, I think you should just take that, have some meetings with whoever should be involved. If that, but I mean, I think, talking to who are the two that are listing are, John Evans and who else? Yeah,
Definitely.
so he's on a mission to get whatever happens to that back on the tax roll as fast as possible. Oh, the other one that talked to me was,
TJ,
your friend, no, I shouldn't have said that.
my friend.
The cheese house guy, the cheese house guy that was a kind of a stinker to you at that one meeting, Rondelli. I shouldn't say that.
Oh, Rondo.
But he, just wants it back on the tax roll, so.
Well, I think it's great. The person, there was two of them that contacted me, and one of them was for a pretty good sized facility, but it would need a yard in the back, fenced in. Which I don't see that to be a problem if the building is facing.
With the existing building or a new building?
No, brand new building.
Brand new, so
Everything would be waxed.
something like a Tractor and Supply?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
My memory's bad. Mark.
Okay,
But anyway, with that, and then the other one was, well, they wanted to reuse the buildings that were
Right.
there, and, which I think.
we chatted around, I think it was at board night, that I guess the majority of the people at that meeting that night thought it'd be nice to have something fresh,
I know,
you
that was my opinion as
yeah,
well.
so,
But I think if you have that availability, maybe, you gotta keep in mind, if you're gonna get bids on a public job, the bids are typically higher.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just being honest.
Mhm.
So, if you leave the building, maybe abate any asbestos that's there.
Right.
And then you put it out for bids just as is, right? Asbestos
And
is
see.
got a clean bill of health. And then let it up to the developer to.
Yeah, the one drawback is, when you look at these, even the Tractor and Supply up in Merrill, it's close to the highway, you can see it. The sign is there, you can see it from the highway. We have no access like that there. That's the kicker. But the zoning, there's a lot of different industrial stuff around that area.
So I think this is zoning on that side of the institutional right now?
Yeah, we have to
So-
do a change, so it just
Is it-
it's dependent on what
Interest?
goes in there.
So that'll be a, land
What
use
the board
question.
wants.
So that was another question was, is that something the village, being that it's where it's at? There is some residential stuff next door, but I would assume that stuff's probably gonna.
Everything is zoned commercial around it, or industrial.
Up in between the funeral home, right? You're talking about?
Yeah, even those homes are already listed.
I thought so too.
So being that the yard
Yeah,
facility
gravel.
currently is in gravel, if it's fenced, can it maintain to be gravel?
You mean for future use?
Yes.
Why couldn't it be? If something.
That's dependent on the project.
Well, if it's got a.
I would think they'd have
Could
to
I-
ask for a condition.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
but
have to ask for the.
I think this would be something that if there was interest by someone, they certainly can follow up with Kristen or the village or us, I suppose, and we can talk more about what their thoughts are. We were expecting some kind of feedback to return, but we haven't gotten any.
Well, to be honest with you, when I read it, it was kind of short. It was very short response. And that's an awful lot to say, hey, look at, this is for sale and available. You got X amount of days to respond back with what you're gonna propose to do here.
I thought it was about 2 months, or at least a month.
I think it went out in August and wasn't it due at the end of
And
October?
Who actually proposed that, staff or Kristen?
proposed which?
I mean, who actually put it out online or in the market?
Had her be the conduit or the person.
She did?
to see anything. Yeah.
Also, what, was she just listed as a contact or did she actually market it? Who actually put it online?
She
Or-
sent it out.
She did, okay, all right.
I just felt, when I got a copy of it, it was a little bit of a short notice for being notified that it is, and it's a lot to put for what was asked in there. It was a lot to try to even drum up a set of blueprints, get all your stuff in place and submit back in, so.
What, we can still entertain any contacts about it. It's not,
What,
it's not done.
what in your opinion would be a more, appropriate timeline?
Well, I honestly, it was, when I read it, it just seemed like it was pretty tight. I kind for the expectations of here's what we have. If you have to get with whoever you think is potential, have a set of plans, submit all those to us at the time, and then we'll basically look over these and feel what's the best decision for the village.
Yeah, I've never done one of those before, so.
If I may just, and I think we're getting out of order with this discussion going so far, but part of the effort was to satisfy us attempting to get a competitive bidding process, if you will, or proposal process. We didn't receive anything, we still entertain proposals. You're aware that the property is out there kind of, we want development proposals, so we'll entertain contacts on it. If you want to follow up with Kristen, you can work together with her on that.
I just think, in all honesty, I don't know that you have to put a sharp deadline on it, right?
We don't have it, there is no longer a deadline on anything.
Oh, no, I understand
So,
that, but
yeah.
look at the perception that it gave.
But I think it was approximately 2 months it was out there. I don't know that there were any questions came back to anybody about it, so we don't know, I guess.
Yeah. I think first you gotta market it that it's available, right? Then get people thinking what we could put there. And then if you, but anyway, it is what it is.
Looking for a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
By Feeny and by several others for a second. We'll do Ermeling. And so Feeny on the motion to adjourn and Feeny, Ermeling on the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. That's both committees and commission, right?
Yeah.
Whoever it is. I love it. So